tape your flag, you're gonna need a 6-foot pole, a silk, a ruler to measure out your cheaters, electrical tape, a small bolt, a large bolt, 2 crutch tips, and a Sharpie or a label to put your name on the flag when you're done. The first thing I'm gonna tape on my flag are my thirds or my cheaters. I have my ruler and my electrical tape, and I'm going to go to where I want the bottom of the pole to be. I'm going to measure out a foot. Each cheater tape is going to end a foot away from where you last measured. And right here, that is this tape, which I'm going to go around and just layer over neatly. I'm gonna repeat the process all the way down the flag. When you go to tape the 2 that are closer to the top of the flag, you're gonna do it slightly differently. You're still gonna measure it out the same. It's gonna still be a foot away. But when you go around once to make sure you're lined up, you're gonna take your finger in the tape, you're gonna just twist it around. This is going to give it texture so that whenever you put the flag on, you can feel the cheater through the silk more easily. Just gonna go over, around, then once the 2 ends meet, you're gonna stop twisting, you're gonna get the sticky side down, and you're just gonna wrap it around. These don't need to be as pretty as the other 2, because no one's gonna see these. They're gonna be inside of a flag silk all season. Next, you're gonna grab your 2 bolts, and you're just gonna take the tape around the bottom of each bolt. You're gonna wrap it over itself a few times. Tear the tape off and do the same thing. Then you're gonna take the smaller of the 2 bolts, and you're gonna put it on the side that has your smooth cheaters, like so. You're gonna grab the tape and wrap it around. Just remember when you're taping your flag, baby on the bottom so that you always have a consistent spacing. And put the other bolt, the larger bolt, on top and wrap it around and secure it the same way. Now you're gonna put the silk on your flag. Whenever you're putting on the silk, it is very, very important that you make sure that the silk is facing the correct way. Every silk has a small little tail. You'll see we start up here and it angles downwards. And this tail at the very bottom, we want this to be towards the bottom of our flagpole. Once you have that lined up, you're gonna take a look. Some silks have these. You don't have to cut them off. You can just tuck them under, but you never want to tape over these when you're securing your flag because they make the tab really long and really ugly. And whenever you get your show silks, you're not gonna be able to tape them that way anyway. So I'm cutting mine off. If you don't have scissors, again, just tuck them inside of here. Line the pole up with the top end, thread it through the hole that your silk has. Mine is a little damaged, as you can see here. And you want to line this up with the bottom of your tape from earlier. This top seam goes underneath the tape, which I left over here. Oops. And you're gonna wrap it around, securing it tightly so that it stays on whenever you put on your crutch tips. You might need to bend it under right here to be able to get the silk fully underneath. That's fine. Just make sure that when you do, it stays underneath the part and you continue to pull it tightly around the flag. Stretch it out to the bottom. Line up the silk. I like to put it in front of my eye and look down the flag to make sure that the seam is in line. And then I do the bottom of the flag exactly the same way. Once you have this wrapped tightly around, you're just gonna go down a little bit more so that you have a more visual tab to look at and hold on to. It's just gonna make your reference point when you're spinning slightly better, but you don't want it to be too long, see like I did there. You just want it to be slightly further. Now you're gonna take your crutch tips and you're going to take 3 pieces of tape and you're going to line them across. I'm starting in the middle and pressing down on the sides. Grab another piece. Go just to the side of that. And then grab my last piece of tape and go again, just right to the side. I'm gonna press it down along the edges so the shape is less harsh when I push it down. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on my other crutch tip. Now I'm gonna go up to the top of the flag. I'm gonna put the crutch tip over the silk. The reason we placed the silk higher up earlier was so that whenever we did this part, it would be covered by the crutch tip and it would have an extra layer of security that would prevent it from coming undone. Once you have it in, you're just gonna take it against the end. I'd say go use half of the tape, press half of it down onto the silk, the other half on the crutch tip, go around it the same way you did earlier, tucking under this flap on the silk, and then spiral upwards towards the top. Make sure it's tight at the bottom, because otherwise when it comes undone, you have to waste a whole bunch of tape getting it off. Voila, and you're gonna tape the bottom one the exact same way. The last thing you're gonna do for your flag is you're going to label it. My handwriting is really bad, so I'm using a printed label because otherwise no one would be able to tell if it was my flag or not. And if you do write it on a piece of tape and stick it on there, make sure you cover it with another piece of clear tape so that it doesn't smudge off. And you're done. You now have a nice flag that is ready to be spun, and if you tightened your silk properly, won't need to be retaped for a very long time. You should be able to use this all season without having to touch it at all. You might need to touch up the crutch tips. As you drop, this part of the tape will get damaged. And when you do that, make sure you untape the entire crutch tip before adding new tape, because otherwise the tape builds up over time and it gets very ugly.